day 1177 of the Trump administration. 200 days to go until the presidential election. The current president started this day wishing all Americans a happy Good Friday, perhaps because of the New York Times story last night saying Republicans were trying to get the president to talk less every day. Today's White House briefing went on for over 2 hours. The president said some of the coverage is fake news. He said today flatly, everyone has the ventilators they need. He said we're in great shape in every way. He said at a certain point it will be gone. It will be gone, he said, and it won't be much longer. He said there's not a lot of issues with testing and we don't need full testing. He talked about, quote, the death numbers, the numbers of death. He said at one point, we're talking 50, 60, 65, maybe. What he meant was 50, 60 or 65,000 people dead potentially. And on the topic of death, he issued his daily reminder of how bad it wouldn't have been had he not acted at all. That prompted David Axelrod to say the president was taking a victory lap on deaths. The president said staying at home leads to death also, maybe a different kind of death, he said. And about his campaign to reopen the U.S. economy, something ultimately up to governors and mayors and individual businesses, he said, I've got to make the biggest decision of my life. Quote, somebody said it's totally up to the president, and it is. He said the states can do things if they want, and he added he can override them. He said, I have great authority if I want to use it. Back in the real world, in our stay-at-home nation, the number of coronavirus deaths around the world today topped 100,000. There are more than 1.6 million confirmed infections now. In the United States, the daily death toll topped 2,000 for the first time. We set a new record for our one-day death toll. NBC News reporting over 18,000 people have now died from coronavirus. More than 490,000 are known to have been infected. That's an increase of over 30,000 cases in just this past day alone. And the outbreak continues to spread. The state of Michigan saw its deadliest day thus far, 206 deaths from the virus, though the president made a point today of saying Michigan is, quote, really doing much better than we thought. Earlier today, I asked Dr. Anthony Fauci about the latest death toll predictions for our country.
The most recent examination of the model with the new data that has been put in says about 60,000. I still think we can do even better than that. That's why I've always said, sometimes to the dismay of my modeling colleagues, that models are as good as the assumptions you put in, and you could influence those assumptions by real data. So 60,000 is where the model is saying now, but let's see, maybe we can do even better than that.
More of my conversation with Dr. Fauci coming up. As we said, Trump still has his sights set on reopening the American economy, as he puts it. And today he offered a preview of a new second government task force to get things up and running.
I call it the Opening Our Country Task Force, or Opening Our Country Council, so we don't get it confused with Mike's task force, which has done so great. And we're going to have the great business leaders, great doctors. We're going to have a great group of people. I do say this, Jim, I want to get it open as soon as possible. This country was meant to be open and vibrant and great, not where people are, staying.
Are you determined?
No, I'm not. I would love to open it. I'm not determined anything. The facts are going to determine what I do. But we do want to get the country open. So important.
Here's the problem. The New York Times obtained government projections that warn of an increase in cases if restrictions are lifted too early. The Times reports it this way. Stay-at-home orders, school closures, social distancing greatly reduce infections of the coronavirus, but lifting those restrictions after just 30 days will lead to a dramatic infection spike this summer and death tolls that would rival doing nothing. Today, the president was asked how he'll go about deciding when to reopen the country.
Can you say, sir, what metrics you will use to make that decision?
The metrics right here. That's my metrics. That's all I can do. I can listen to 35 people. At the end, I've got to make a decision. And I didn't think of it until yesterday. I said, this is a big decision. But I want to be guided. I'm going to be guided by them. I'm going to be guided by our vice president. I'm going to make a decision based on a lot of different opinions.
President again insisted our country is doing tremendous testing for coronavirus despite shortages and backlogs in hard-hit New York. Governor Andrew Cuomo said antibody and diagnostic testings are needed on a massive scale to safely restart the economy. He also reported another devastating day for his state, 777 new deaths in just the past day for a total of more than 7,800 now. So far, there are over 170,000 confirmed cases in New York, again, greater than any country except ours. But again today, Cuomo included some encouraging stats.
We are cautiously optimistic that we are slowing the infection rate. That's what the numbers say. That's what the data suggests to us. Change in total hospitalizations is down, not relative to yesterday, but when it's average, the 3-day average on the hospitalizations, you see a dramatic decline in those numbers, and that's obviously very good news. Change in ICU admissions is actually a negative number for the first time since we started this intense journey.
The governor again stressed the importance of staying on course in all this social distancing we're experiencing. There were two other chilling numbers out of New York City. The NYPD has now lost 19 members to this disease. The department reported more than 7,000 uniformed members were out sick right now. That's roughly 20% of the department's uniform workforce. Then there are the chilling images, new video out of New York City of a trench being dug at the public cemetery on Hart Island to accommodate a dramatic increase in the number of unclaimed bodies. The cemetery receiving roughly the same amount of bodies per day that it used to receive each week. Mayor Bill de Blasio offered this sobering assessment of the past 7 days.
This is a week where we reached milestones we could never have imagined. 5,000 New Yorkers lost, so many more than we even lost on our worst day of 9/11. A number we literally can hardly imagine. And every single one of the people we lost, a human story, a family grieving. At some point today, we will get to the point of 100,000 cases that have occurred in New York City.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.